Good morning, everyone, and welcome along to the first of today's International Accounting Day celebration webinars. And we're looking at one of our quick learn sessions, and it's shortcuts for success in Sage 50 accounts. So we're going to spend around about half an hour with you this morning, running through a number of shortcut areas. Now, hopefully you had a chance to watch that little video, give you a little bit of background with regard to the housekeeping. I'll quickly fly through that just before we do get started. So as normal, if you've got a microphone, it will be muted, meaning if you've got any questions for us, you need to submit them via the questions panel. To access that, you just need to click the little speech bubble icon. It'll expand the panel on the right, and then you can start typing in the box at the bottom. Any comments, questions, pop them in there, click send. We'll try our best to answer those. Today we're joined by Abby and Jackie, who'll be on hand in the background to help answer those questions. So keep them busy, keep them coming throughout. If there's time, we'll try and maybe pick some of those up at the end as well, if there are any outstanding. There is an opportunity to download the handouts for today's session. However, a link to our recordings will be included on the follow-up email, where you can download them from there as well, and obviously watch the recordings once it's available. So you'll get that email with the appropriate links around about an hour or so after we finish. Right, let's get cracking because there's lots to get through in today's session. Just as a bit of a recap for International Accounting Day, though, we've been running the 5 quick learn sessions, so this is the 5th session that we're running. If you've attended any 4 of the first 5, plus one of the quiz sessions, because we're running that this afternoon and on Tuesday next week, so any 4 of the first 5 plus one of the quiz sessions, you would earn your Smart Accounting digital badge. So that will be issued within the next couple of weeks. Again, if you haven't registered for the quiz session yet, the link will be included on the follow-up email. Right, let's get stuck in and have a look at what we're going to be covering. So this is what we're going to be covering for the shortcuts. So hopefully I'm going to get through these options in time. So we're going to start with quick search, give you an idea of what that is and how quickly you can get at the information. We're going to have a quick look at decluttering your desktop, so maybe hiding options that you don't link to, or don't use, I should say, just to make it a bit easier on the eye, and so you've got less options. So get rid of those that you just don't use. We'll look at keyboard shortcuts. So if you're primarily keyboard based, you can actually find switching between the keyboard and the mouse slows you down a little bit. So we'll give you an idea of some of the options. Duplicate and credit invoice, 2 options that are often overlooked, but can help quite a bit with making processing just that little bit quicker. The quick print option and the email option, again, so you got one click to do that process. So we'll be looking at that within the invoicing module. We'll pick up on smart links as well. Smart links is something that's been around for a long time, so we'll just give you an idea of what that is. It saves you maybe just clicking through the software to find the information you're after. And then just finally, we'll wrap up with explaining a little bit about the additional support, and also if there are any outstanding questions towards the end, we'll pick up on those as well. Right, so let's get stuck in. I'll be running you through a bit of a slide with some text on, telling you a little bit about it, and then we'll jump in and I'll share my screen and we'll run through a quick demo. So quick search, it's something that's been around for quite a while now, and it's just been extended into a few other areas as well, such as invoicing and sales orders, etc. But it enables you to quickly and easily search for records. It enables you to search for specific text values in multiple fields. So previously, where maybe you've used filter, where the filter option is specific, you're searching a specific field in there or setting a certain condition. But with the quick search option, the box at the top of your main ledgers, and you'll find it in a number of other areas as well, such as drop downs when you're entering transactions, which is drop down for a nominal code, for instance. You can quickly type something in there. It will search multiple fields. So let's just have a look at that now. What I have included on the handout today, I've included a few links here and there as well at the bottom. So you've got your green buttons. One will take you off to the relevant Help Center article. The other will take you off, if there's a live webinar coming up on this specific topic, it will take you off to the registration page. Or maybe we've got a recording of that topic previously available. It might be that as well. Right, okay, let's jump across to my screen and we'll quickly have a look at the quick search option. So I'm in version 30 today. As I say, quick search has been around for a long time. We'll just do it in we'll pop into customers, and it's this little box at the top here where it looks like it's grayed out. You just need to click into it. And by doing that, it will let you search multiple fields. So you're not just looking for, the name. It might be, let's say you've got a phone call and you know the phone number, but actually you missed the name and you don't like to ask for that. You could search for that. So if I do 0191 just as an example, so I've got a few of those on my list, and then I just click apply the search. It will give me the results of that. Now, it doesn't necessarily just search the phone number, it will search other fields as well. So I just go into a customer record as an example, and all of the fields on here, so on the details field, essentially they're going to be searchable. So this one's my call is the contact. If I just go back as an example, it does list it there. So if I just clear that search, and then I just type in Mike, maybe that's what I heard when the customer first introduced themselves. But I apply that search, and I can narrow it down really quickly. But it will search on things like addresses as well. So anything really within the customer record in here, it's going to search when you apply that quick search field. So it makes it really easy. But as I say, it is available as well when you're entering transactions. So let's say if we were just entering, let's just say a batch invoice as an example. When we get to the nominal code field, we might not know the number, but maybe we know what it's called. So let's say we're looking for insurance, just as an example. If I type that in, it narrows that list. So I can quickly get at, rather than me endlessly scroll up and down trying to think, well, which one is it again? Which is the one I'm after? So we can then select it. So it makes it easy to get at that information. So that's quick search I can't say that, quick search in a nutshell if you've never used that before. Remember, you can obviously just switch it off at any point as well. Just click the little bin icon and it'll reset that. It just clears the field at the top and it goes back to your full list for you. So that's available just about throughout. So customers, quotations, sales orders list, invoices and credits, suppliers, purchase orders, products and services. Again, chances are you've got quite a list in there. It's not available in bank accounts or bank feeds. They're generally quite small lists. Those not available in the VAT ledger. Is available in the nominal codes list. Again, it's just this box at the top. So have a go of it. So we're really just helping you get at that information very, very quickly. Right, let's pop back to the slides. So next is decluttering your desktop. So by decluttering, we're talking about configuring your toolbars, your columns, but also your data entry screens as well. You've got that available on there. So it's a simple right-click option, this one. It will then give you a list based on whatever you've right-clicked on. And then it'll list the options that you can show or hide. So it means that if there's certain options that you don't use or you don't want to see on your lists, then you can hide those. Just to, again, declutter it a bit. Obviously, there are loads of options and there's bound to be some options that you just don't use. So easy to hide them, easy to switch them back on, and just as easy to revert to the default view if you find you don't want that. So again, let's switch back across and we'll show you what we mean. So let's start with the main navigation bar just on the right here. Which of those options do you not use? So it's been around for a long time, the diary option at the bottom there, for instance. If you don't use that, then why even have it listed? If we just right click anywhere on this navigation bar down the right, it will give you a list of the options that you can show or hide. Notice that you can't, these options at the top there, the home, apps and add-ons, and also the business dashboard, they can't be hidden by this option. But diary is one of them. If I click it, it's ticked at the moment, but if I click it, it disappears from that list. Fixed assets ledger. Let's say I don't use that one. Again, I can right click, find it on the list. I could hide it. It's gone. If I want it back, I just right click, switch the option back on. It's back. You've got the same option for your on your toolbar at the top. So if you pop into customers, you'll see there's loads of them in here. So quite a few options here that are grayed out for if you integrate with Go Cardless, for instance. So if you don't integrate with Go Cardless, so some of these options will be redundant for yourself. So you could make a bit of space to show some of these other options as maybe bigger icons. Again, right click on the toolbar area at the top. It will give you a list of the options. Now you do need to do them one at a time. So for instance, I could request direct debit payment. I could knock that one off. Request mandates, settlements, I can knock off. Request a payment, cancel the mandate, and also the refresh mandate. And as you can see, it starts making a bit more space at the top. If I don't use the comms option, again, I can switch it off just to declutter that bit at the top. There's bound to be loads of options that you don't use. So labels, probably rarely used within the letters, not massively used within the software. Again, if you don't want them, right click, find the option, switch it off. Now it will retain that for you as well. The other thing you've got, similar with decluttering, is your columns. So if you right click any of your column headings, again, what do you want to show? What do you want to hide? Might want to hide that email address, switch it off. On my email or print, maybe I don't want to see that one. Find it on the list. You may find, depending on your resolution, that you may need to scroll down to see certain options. It hides the column. There might be information you do want to display. Right click, is it available? Switch it on. But you've also got that within your batch entry screens as well. Your column headings, right click, it'll give you an idea of which columns you can show or hide. So if you don't use the X reference as an example, we've got that column there at the moment, but if I don't use that, I can deselect it, it hides it. So that's decluttering your desktop. So have a little play around with that. If you want to restore anything at any point, so these options at the top, for instance, if I want to revert back to the everything being switched on, that is there by default. You'll find at the bottom of the right click menu, you have an option, use defaults, and you're just back to where you were. Similar for the options on the navigation bar, use defaults, your column headings, and also in the batch data entry screens as well. So have a bit play around with that one. Right, let's get back to our my slides, and we'll pick up on our next shortcut, and it's keyboard shortcuts. Now, the idea of keyboard shortcuts, and there's quite a few of these in the software, and the idea is you're not having to switch between your keyboard, constantly switch between your keyboard and your mouse. Now, if you've always been sort of Windows-based software-wise, you'd probably not be as aware of it. But when we used to have DOS software, which was all keyboard-based, people would say it's so much quicker, and I seem to have slowed down a little bit when I've switched to the Windows version. So if you didn't use a mouse back in those days, so switching between the keyboard and the mouse it just makes it just that little bit longer take that little bit longer just to complete certain tasks. So the idea is speeds up your data entry. You can access your options maybe just that little bit quicker. Commonly, function keys, the common ones to use. Now, all of your function keys on your keyboard do have a use. The most common ones are F6, F7, and F8. Now, you'll find those are often, because they're so common, they'll be mentioned, or there'll be shortcuts now for some of those at the top of your entry screens. So I'll show you that in a minute. Now, F11 and F12 have a default use, but actually you can configure those as well to do other stuff. There's a great article in our help center that it shows you how to configure F11 and F12. So you can get it to do other stuff, such as opening a web page. So we always advertise sort of, I think it's our tax codes our tax code finder article, probably one of our most commonly used articles. I would love to say it was the webinars registration page, but I think the tax code just out nudges it. So if you wanted to configure F11 or F12 when you're using Sage to open a specific web page, do check out that information in our help center. But there's also what we term the hotkeys as well, where you press your Alt key on your keyboard when you're using Sage, and it will put a code next to the relevant options. So let me just quickly switch back, and we'll show you some of these options in action. Now let's start with the function keys. Now, if you want to find out what the function keys are and what their uses are, you can simply go to Help at the top, choose Help Center, or if you just want to pop into your browser, you can go to sage.co.uk/help. We'll just let that load. Is it going to load? Just open in browser just to be a little bit quicker. And then what I'm going to search for, I'll just search for shortcuts. So here we've got things like save time using the function key. So I'll just click that one. And if I scroll down, it will give me a list of the function keys. So it's telling me F1 opens your support. So helps you to access the help that for whatever you're looking at within the software. But F6 is the duplicate key. So if you're entering a batch of transactions and you just want to copy something down, press F6, whatever's in the box above, it copies that down. So if you're doing an invoice and you need to split it for a particular customer, saves you having to type in the account code again, or maybe it's the same date you want to use, or possibly even the same description if there's a batch of invoices that you're entering. F7 inserts a blank line, and F8 is used to delete a line. So if you start entering something in error and you think, I've already entered that one, you can just press F8 and it will discard that line. Let me quickly show you some of those. So we'll pop into bank accounts and we'll choose the bank payment option. Now you'll see some of them are mentioned at the top here. So we've now got shortcuts for some of them at the top of the screen there. So it tells you insert row. You could just click the option, or as it suggests there, you could press F7. So if I was just to quickly key something in, so we'll do bank payment. So let's just say nominal 5,000 and I'll type test. We'll do £100 plus VAT. If I come down to the next line, if I just press F6 and I do F6 again, just pause that message. So as you can see, it just copies whatever is in the box above. So a combination of maybe tabbing and just pressing F6. Now, if let's just quickly do this line. So we'll just do F6 a few times, just so we got two almost identical lines. Now, let's say I'm partway through a batch of transactions and I forgot, I've missed a line, or maybe I realize actually this first payment, I want to split it between two different nominal codes. What I can do is just click onto this line, and then if I press F7, everything from the line that I had highlighted downwards will move down, so it leaves this blank line available. I can start keying in at that point. If I'm in the position where actually I think I've done that in error, I just want to get rid of it, just F8, click on the line you want to get rid of. So let's just pop a reference in there so you can see that's the one I'm actually getting rid of. So we'll just click here, we'll do F8, it discards that line, and then I could click save. Right, okay. The other one, someone mentioned about laptop there. You might find if you're on a laptop that to use your actual function keys, if you think about a traditional keyboard, you'll just have your F keys at the top. If you're on a laptop, what you often find is that you need to, if you want to use the likes of F6, you might need to hold your function button down. So your FN button at the bottom, normally bottom left of your keyboard, hold that down, then you can use the function keys. You sometimes find on a laptop that traditionally your top row of keys have other uses like turning up your volume, muting volume, changing brightness, broadcasting to other monitors, etc. Now, the other one we did mention was your what we term our hotkeys. So when you're working in Sage, you do have a series of hotkeys available to you. And to access that, you just press your Alt key. When you press your Alt key, you'll find these little codes come up next to the various options. So if I just go right back to the home page, and let's say I want to do, let's say we'll do a batch invoice against a supplier. So if I just press Alt, against suppliers, it's 08, and then if I just press Alt again, and then it's BI for batch invoice. So you're in there, and that's all keyboard based. If I wanted to close out, I can just press Escape. So have a good look through those. The Alt option, the hotkeys, isn't used massively there, but once you start learning them, you can find it's just that little bit quicker to navigate through. Now, some of you might argue, oh, actually, how much time am I going to save just by touching the mouse and clicking on suppliers and then clicking batch invoice? But again, once you learn them, you'll find it you should find that it's just that little bit quicker. So that's keyboard shortcuts. So remember, you can configure your F11 and F12 to be used for other functions, such as opening a web page if required. Right, okay, let's quickly move on because still lots to get through. There's lots to get through in such a short space of time, it seems. And next, I just want to pick up on the duplicate option and the credit invoice option. Now, duplicate isn't available if you're on the essentials level. So we'll quickly run through it just so you can see what we mean by this. So duplicate and credit invoice enables you to, like, say, generate invoices and credits quickly and easily. So if you've got one in, it's a repeat order, or maybe it's the same invoice, but you're generating for different customers, such as things like memberships, professionals, that type of thing, professional fees, sorry. Then you can highlight the original invoice, click on duplicate, it'll bring up the invoice, and then you can make any changes and then just save it. So it might be the case of duplicating an invoice, switching it, or bringing up the next customer account, saving it, duplicating it, next customer account, saving it. So you can, those sort of repeat invoices might be for the same customer, might be for different customers. Makes it really quick. The credit invoice option is a great option for quickly generating a credit note based on the original invoice. Again, you'll be able to make amends to it, and then it will guide you through that process of automatically updating it. But also, if available, it will also allocate it to the relevant invoice on the customer's account. Again, saving your little job there. So it's tidying up as you go. Right, let's have a quick look at these options. So we'll pop into invoices. Now the duplicate option, as I mentioned, it's not available in the essentials level. You've got duplicate for things like your customers, your suppliers, your products and services. So if you want to create another record based on a record that already exists, again, it can just save you that little bit of time. But this one at the bottom here, if we just go into the invoice to begin with, it tells me obviously it's already been updated, this one, but we can see it's just for this one item and it's for this A1 Design Services customer. So if we just close out, highlight it on the list, click on duplicate, it brings up an exact copy of that invoice. And if I want to change dates or maybe change customers, I can do that. You may even be prompted to recalculate prices depending on whether you use price lists or discount options. It just, again, makes it really quick. So if you do have things like memberships, professional fees that you invoice for regularly, might even be a service invoice where you know you've got a great big description that you normally type in, you could duplicate it, change the basic details, and then just save it. So that can make it a lot quicker. And it just obviously pops it onto the end there. Now this invoice here has already been updated to the ledgers. So let's say for whatever reason this customer returns the goods and you want a full credit note for that. What I can do is just highlight it on the list. So rather than me go through new credit and start keying in the details, I can highlight the invoice and then I've got the credit invoice option. So it pops in all the details for me. I could make amends. So let's say they'd ordered 5 different items and actually they were only returning, let's say 2 of the items. I could just go through the various the items that they haven't returned and just F8 to remove them, again using the function key. And then when I'm ready, I can save it. Now, when I save it, this is the beauty of this option. It prompts you, do you want to update this credit note and allocate it to the invoice? So it knows which invoice it relates to, because that's what you highlighted originally. So if I click yes, it tells me credit note 87, it tells me the transaction number as well, has been updated and also allocated to invoice 85. Now, if transaction 85 had been, for whatever reason, the invoice, the original invoice had been actually being paid off, it would post the credit note, but obviously that credit note would then just show as being outstanding against that customer, and it would just sit there until you do something with that. But in this instance, it's outstanding, so it's able to allocate that credit note for me. So I just OK that, I can close out, and if we have a quick look at that customer, have a look at their activity, you can see we've got invoice 85 at the top here, and we've got invoice 87, and you can see in this outstanding column, there's nothing outstanding. On the bottom section, you can see they are allocated together. So a good option, that one. Next, we're going to quickly pick up on quick print and email. Again, these options have been around for a long time in your software, and again, not massively used yet. But the idea of these options, quick print and email, is that once you've chosen your layout, it's then one click to send out an invoice, a quotation, or an order. It knows which layout you want to use. If you're sending it to the printer, it'll pick up your default printer for you. So again, that dialog box isn't coming up. So no need to then browse through, try to find your layout or choose your printer each time. So just making your processes that bit faster, that bit easier. And again, you can change your default layout at any time if you update your layout and you want to use a different one. So let's just have a quick look at that one. We'll get back to my invoices list and we'll just highlight that A1 Design Services. And if I just click, I'll use the quick print option as an example. If I give it a click, if you've never used the options before, first thing it's going to do, it's going to pop up with this menu, or this message, I should say. The default layout has not yet been set. Do you wish to do this now? If I click yes, and then it just means I could choose my specific layout that I want to use. So I'll just use the first one, and I'll OK that. Now, what that means in the future is rather than me highlight my invoice, go to the print option, into layouts, find the one I want to use, send that to the printer. Oh, that was preview. I'll click the printer icon this time, send it to the printer, and then make sure I've got the right printing option selected, then click OK. And then I need to close out afterwards. So instead, what happens is I highlight it and I just click quick print. It does the same thing. You've got a similar option for email. Now, if for whatever reason that default layout, you want to change it to a different one, maybe you've designed your own, what you can do is just go into the settings menu and you'll have an invoice and order defaults option. Now, if you're on essentials, that will just be called invoice defaults. And then you will have a quick print and an email option at the top. And if you need to change that layout, you just, for quick print, for instance, you just click browse. It'll give you a list of layouts and I could choose that one, for instance. OK that. And from this point onwards, if I highlight an invoice, if I was to click quick print, it would use that new default layout and send that to the default printer for me. Again, making it that little bit quicker. So these options are available in a few areas as well. So sales orders, you've got the quick print and the email, helps if you select something. You'll find it in quotations as well, quick print and email. And also, if you are on the professional level, you'll also have it within the purchase orders module as well. Right, final thing I want to show you today. So very quickly, I want to quickly pick up on smart links. So smart links, again, an option that you may not be aware of. You may have accidentally clicked on that and thought, ooh, I didn't know it did that. But within an activity, if you're looking at your activity and you think, well, in this example of the screenshot, it's reference 89. So if you were looking for invoice 89 and you want to see the full detail of that, you might be thinking, well, I need to go to invoices and credits, find that one, double click it, and you're there. But you can actually use your smart link to take you direct there from the activity. Let's have a quick look at this one then. So a really simple option. We go into customers, we'll just pick on that A1 design services that we just entered that invoice for and the credit note for. We go into the activity, and you can see the ones that have smart links, so these ones that have this little gray arrow next to the transaction. Now you can either just click that or literally just double click on the transaction itself. And when you do that, it will take you directly to the linked invoice to that transaction. Similarly, if when you're entering an invoice, you've got this hot link, or smart link, I should say, back in the other direction. So once you've entered the account reference, if you click the button, it will take you back to the appropriate customer. So again, you're not having to go into customers, find that customer, access their record and find out the information you're after. You're just literally clicking the smart link here, or if you're in the activity, let's get back to the activity. It's just anywhere on the relevant transaction. So if we do that one for the credit note this time, just double click it, and there it is. We're straight into it, so we can view that detail. Makes it really good. Excuse me. Quick question from Paul there. All smart links only available on professional? They should be available, I believe, in all levels of the software. I don't think that's a versions, a level specific feature, that one. So we'll have a go of it next time you're in the relevant activity windows. Right, okay, now that brings us to the end of, well, just over the half hour now. So if you've got any final questions, if you want to pop them in there, I think we're just about on top of them. You've kept Abby and Jackie really busy this morning. But if you've got any questions, pop them in. If you weren't quite with us at the start and you're thinking, well, how do I submit questions? Just as a reminder, you just need to click the little speech bubble icon on your taskbar down the right, and then you'll have access to that little box where you can start typing. So pop them in there. Remember to click send. And then we can pick those up in just a moment. Right, just as a reminder, these are the sessions that we have been running so far. So we've now completed sessions 1 through to 5. Your follow-up email will include a link to our recordings page. That recordings page, hopefully by the time you get that email, will include all 5 recordings. All 4 are there at the moment. If you need a copy of the handout, that will be there as well. This afternoon, once we've run the quiz, we'll add a recording for that one as well. So if you do need a bit of a recap, that's where you'll find it. Before I start helping out with some of the questions, just in case anyone's about to leave, let me thank you for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed it. The intention with these sessions, bit of a whirlwind tour on certain topics, but the idea is to give you an idea of some of those options that maybe you haven't come across before. Maybe a little bit of food for thought here and there. So when we're talking about options to help you get paid that bit easier or automating your transactions, these are maybe areas of the software that maybe you've not really touched yet. If you do need more information, there's loads available in our help center. So do check that out. Now, as you leave this session, there will be a little survey pop up. So if you've got any thoughts on the webinars that we've been running, any ideas you'd like to share with us, topics you'd like to see covered going forward maybe, then do take that opportunity to pop them on the survey. It should take you about a minute maximum. Follow-up email will be with you in around about half an hour's time. So watch out for that as well. Right, okay, let me get back and I'll join in with some of the questions that we've had. So a quick question in relation to the smart links. One from Louise, why do some of the transactions not have smart links? So when you were looking at this, and we were looking at the activity, and you'll notice on this list, I'm assuming this is what you're referring to, Louise, some of these transactions don't have smart links. And it's basically because I've just keyed them in manually. So I've probably used things like either I've deleted the relevant invoice, or maybe it was a batch invoice, or it was a customer receipt. So not all of your transactions will have it, but where it's been entered via invoices and credits and updated to your ledgers, then it will. Quick question also from Jennifer. Jennifer's just asking, are smart links available in supplier accounts? You can only see them in customers. With suppliers, let me just double check. Have I got one that I can demo on? Let me just see. I think it might be if you do it via a purchase order. So let me just quickly dispatch this one. This is for this McNally data. It's now complete. We'll update this to the ledgers as well. Now, with your purchase orders, if you are on the professional level, you do get the update ledgers option as well. So we'll just update that one. Save it. So that was McNally Computer Supplies. Let me just see if it works in that area. So this one here. So it does do it, but you're only going to have that though if you're on the professional level of the software. So if I click that, it takes me back to that purchase order. Hope that makes sense there, Jennifer. Other than that, there's no other documents supplier-wise. So if it was just a batch invoice, for instance, that's not saved as a document anywhere. It's just literally saved as transactions. And you can see the transaction information already within the activity window. So there would be nothing, hence there are no smart links on these other ones. A few questions about the recordings. The links to the recordings will be sent out. That will be on the follow-up email, which you're going to get in around about an hour's time. So there'll also be opportunities on that recordings page to download the handouts as well. If you've tried and failed, or you forgot to do that and think, actually, I want to come back to do that. And you mentioned there that you use the plus to link to the PDF versions of supplier invoices. So yeah, the plus sign in this instance would be if you've got attachments. So you can attach documents. So if you've got a scanned document, or maybe it's been emailed and you've saved it. So yes, you can add attachments. What we're talking about is this little option here, the Smart Link option, and that will take you across to the relevant document that you've generated in Sage itself, rather than maybe the PDF or whatever else you've attached to the specific transaction. Stefan, your question from earlier, hope I'm pronouncing your name right there. On a customer supplier activity screens, you're just asking about this little tick box here. If you tick it so that you only see outstanding, can it retain that setting? It doesn't currently. Anything like that though, where you think that would be a nice little change for myself to if it could do that, it saves you clicking it every time you go in. What you can do is just from the home page within your software. If you click home, so on the navigation bar at the top, click home, and then if you come down to the roadmap area and click the roadmap, it will take you across to this page where you can then click the option to submit an idea, or even submit your votes on what other people are asking for. And this just takes you across to our Sage 50 Accounts ideas portal. So any sort of new features you'd like to see or changes to existing features can be as little as just, I would like it to retain that little tick box when I select it, all the way through to, you know, a big change to the software. You can add that as a new idea, and you'll see there's loads on there. So again, any thoughts like that, Stefan, pop them on there. Let us know about them. Right, questions are starting to dry up. So I think what we'll do is we'll wrap the webinar up just at that point. So once again, many thanks for coming along. I hope you have enjoyed it. Do share your thoughts with us and your ideas as well. Take that opportunity to complete that survey as you leave, and hopefully we'll see you on some more sessions soon. Remember, the quiz is at 2 o'clock this afternoon if you want to attend that one, and that will be repeated on Tuesday next week. But the registration link will be included on your follow-up email if you haven't already done that. Many thanks, take care, and hopefully we'll see you soon.